Data shows just how aggressive these schemes across Peachtree State have been. On average, each Georgian got about one robocall every day in 2024. In the first quarter of the previous year, there were 437 reports of fraud incidents per 100,000 people, topping all states. In 2023, Georgia consumers reported over 65,000 scams in 2023, accounting for roughly $2.1 million loss per 1,000 residents. Wow. Here now to help us avoid some of these schemes is Matt Mizenko. He is the general manager at Nomorobo. Well, hello, Matt. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right. Why are these schemers or scammers becoming more aggressive right now?
Well, it's kind of two things. So this year, it's obviously been the government shutdown. We haven't had any enforcement going on for the past month or so, which makes it kind of a tempting target. And then the second thing is every year about this time when we go into things like Medicare open enrollment, tax season, Christmas season, people waiting to get packages and stuff like that. What that does is that just brings these guys out in spades because they know that people are anxious, that there are all these things that are urgent to them. And when you get anxious and when you get urgent, you tend to make bad decisions.
And you know, we hear this about these scams. Urgency is really the main key. Is that still the focus, especially when we talk about fraud nationally? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it really is. They're trying to get you to think that you got to do something quickly. They often couple that with the threat of financial loss. You put those two together and it's a bad recipe.
Is it still our more seasoned, folks that are more at risk with this, or is it the young people who are online more?
That's a great question. So typically we have been focused on those more seasoned people. However, with the way that young people really are gravitating toward both these messaging apps that can't be really controlled, say by your phone company, so things like WhatsApp or Telegram, and the proliferation of cash apps like Venmo and Cash App and Zelle, you put those two things together and the fraudsters have figured out a lot of tools that they basically can spin up almost instantly in those environments. And you know, it's really unregulated there. So you click on one wrong link, for example, in an app like Telegram, and you could find your bank account being siphoned. It's kind of like the wild, wild west in some of those places.
Wow. Matt, are we at a point now where you really just can't tell anymore? Like somebody could take my voice, call my mother and use it to scam her. Is that where we are?
Well, it's headed that direction and it feels kind of scary, but you know, with companies like mine at Nomorobo and also just the industry in general, and of course the FCC and the FTC, now that the shutdown's over, we are working very hard to try to solve these problems. We have heard, rightly so, I think, from consumers that they feel, just like you said, that it almost feels like we can't protect ourselves and what are we going to do? And everybody is kind of putting their best foot forward and trying really hard, but we all still need to continue to remain vigilant and be very skeptical of the things that cross our wires, so to speak.
Yeah, talking about being careful. Are callback traps more common? Are they becoming a little bit more common? And if they are, what should people do when they receive one?
They are still out there. I don't know if I'd say they're becoming more or less common, but we saw a number of these, for example, during the shutdown with regard to SNAP benefits, people calling you and saying that if you get this call, that means you're eligible for free SNAP money, but if you don't call right back, you're not going to get that free SNAP money. Again, urgency and financial loss, or gain in this case, I guess. But yes, trying to get you to call back to some other number, and who knows where that number is, who knows going to answer, who knows how much it's going to cost you, all of those sorts of things.
So what steps should our viewers take right now to be aware of any schemes or scams that target them?
Well, one great thing to do is obviously stay, tuned to whatever social networks you are on. And if you see something there, take a look at what it is. And if if you encounter one of these things, share it with your friends. At Nomorobo, we have a great resource we call Nomorobo Fraud Fighters, which you can find on our website, nomorobo.com, which lists all of the latest scams, kind of what to say, what not to say, what they're trying to do, gives you some strategy and advice. And that's a good place to start as well. And also, use an app like ours, use an app like someone else's to protect yourselves, because all of these apps do a really good job. And in fact, we're giving ours away for free this week for Fraud Awareness Week. So anyone who goes to nomorobo.com/free can get our top of the line app, Android or iOS, for free for a year, kind of as our way of saying, hey, we heard you and we want to help you out.
There it is, especially for this time of year. Matt, thanks so much. Really appreciate that, and a good resource for people to use.